Step outside and you immediately hit a wall of friction. A simple bumped shoulder instantly triggers an automatic defensive reaction. Our attention is continuously hijacked by minor skirmishes. We navigate aggressive traffic cutoffs, scroll through manufactured outrage online, and process passive-aggressive office emails. None of these events are catastrophic on their own, but as the day drags on, these tiny abrasions accumulate. They layer on top of each other, building an exhausting psychological weight by the time you finally get home. We operate on a deep-seated negativity default. Society expects us to match the energy of the room, meaning when someone throws hostility at you, the accepted rule is that you must reflect that exact same hostility right back. This diagram shows how that social transaction works. A negative input from one person automatically demands an equal negative output from another. This locks both parties into a closed, perfectly efficient loop of escalating conflict. Because neither person is willing to surrender and absorb the perceived loss, the cycle just accelerates. Normal workplace disagreements or petty arguments become impossible to de-escalate because the feedback loop demands constant, mutual retaliation. But what happens to the math if one side simply refuses to play? What if the receiving node rejects the accepted rules of engagement entirely? Survival in a crowded world doesn't require avoiding every conflict. It requires breaking the deeply ingrained social expectation of how we are supposed to react to them. Centuries ago, agrarian life in ancient China was defined by severe, relentless labor. Survival demanded intense physical exertion from dawn until dusk, leaving the villagers physically stooped and psychologically drained. Then 3 nameless monks would arrive. They didn't preach or demand alms. They simply walked into the center of the busiest square, stood shoulder to shoulder, and began to laugh. They never spoke a single word. They just laughed, continuously and loudly. At first, the townsfolk were thoroughly confused. Spiritual teachers were expected to offer solemn wisdom, complex rituals, or strict moral guidance. These men offered nothing logical to process. This network map illustrates what happened next. By entirely bypassing logic and debate, the monks tapped directly into emotional contagion. Their laughter acted as a radial pulse, immediately overriding the villagers' cognitive defenses. Within minutes, someone in the crowd would crack a smile. Then another would chuckle. The effect expanded exponentially outward until the entire exhausted village was united in a sudden shared state of joy. Once the whole town was laughing, the monks moved on. They were quietly demonstrating a concept known as the cosmic joke. Without a single lecture, they communicated that the heavy burdens of social standing, ego, and daily annoyance are absurd and shouldn't be taken so seriously. The monks proved that joy is an active projection. It is a choice generated from within that changes the environment, independent of any outside permission. After years of traveling together, the trio's pattern was broken when one of the monks died in a northern province. The locals abandoned their fields and rushed to the scene, fully expecting the surviving pair to perform the culturally mandated rituals of deep mourning. Instead, they found the 2 remaining monks laughing harder than ever before. When horrified villagers demanded to know why they weren't weeping, the monks spoke. They explained they had made a bet on who would beat the others and die first. Their oldest friend had won. The deceased monk had left specific instructions. Defying tradition, he demanded that his body remain unwashed and his clothes unchanged. His final testament declared that he had never allowed any of the filth of the world to reach him through his lifelong laughter. As the flames reached his unwashed robes, hundreds of hidden fireworks suddenly erupted, filling the sky with exploding color. The fireworks delivered the ultimate punchline. The crowd couldn't help but join in the laughter. The old monk proved that even death itself cannot force you into a negative emotional state if you absolutely refuse to accept the world's heavy terms. The filth that old monk refused to let touch him is the exact same social friction we face today. It is the constant low-level toxicity of our digital feeds, the draining office politics, and the relentless stress of modern expectations. You can block this out by wearing the armor of joy. This is the conscious, calculated decision to deploy an entirely unexpected, positive reaction against an incoming wave of external hostility. When a project collapses at work or an aggressive email lands in your inbox, your default programming tells you to panic or fight back. By actively choosing to find the absurdity in the situation and genuinely laugh, you immediately neutralize the opposing party's power over your mood. This chart tracks exactly what happens internally. The moment a stressor hits, the brain's fight or flight sequence initiates. But a deliberate trigger of joy acts as a hard reset, forcing that biological stress metric to instantly plummet back to baseline. By maintaining this reset baseline over time, you build a permanent psychological buffer. Hostility loses its grip. Because your reaction is no longer tied to their input, you become highly resilient to whatever social friction comes next. Joy functions as an active, weaponized shield. It preserves internal vitality and strips the power from the heavy, exhausting frictions of the modern world.